Hello YouTube. Today I'm going to be showing you an Ornate Tortles hunting guide. Ornate Tortles are located in the Arc. More specifically, they're located in the Uncharted Isles. It looks confusing at first, but I'll explain later how they're located. The requirements for this are you need 96 Hunter, and you need to complete the first Arc mini-quest, called Impressing the Locals. It's pretty straightforward mini-quest. Additionally, it's highly recommended that you complete the Flagfall mini-quest, which is a mini-quest that follows after Impressing the Locals. So to get to Uncharted Isles, you need what are called supplies, which are bought from Rosie, a merchant in the northeast section of Waiko Marketplace. She'll sell one supply for 40 chimes each. Depending on the length of the voyage on the Uncharted Isle, you'll need 5 supplies for a short, 12 for a medium, and 25 for a large. Because Uncharted Isles generate random resource nodes, you're not guaranteed an Ornate Tortle hunting ground. However, it's better to stick with larger voyages, because generally there's a higher chance of getting one. Since Ornate Tortles are considered a rare resource, it's highly advised that you go on a larger voyage. Here's how rare resources are chosen. A small voyage does not guarantee a rare resource. However, medium guarantees 1 and large guarantees 2 rare resources. Also, the island size seems to matter because the larger the island, the more types of resources are available. All Uncharted Isles are instants, meaning nobody can crash or spot. However, anytime you leave the island, you'll lose the entire island. This is why if you complete the Flagfall mini-quest, you unlock the option to claim the island, which saves all the resources in the island. Basically, you plant the flag to claim the island. If you need to revisit the island, it only costs you 3 supplies. There's a limit for every rare or special resource available in the Uncharted Island. After a certain number of successful catches, it'll deplete. Don't worry, it's not permanent. It'll respawn at 00 UTC time, which is reset time of Runescape. Ornate Tortles take around 200 catches before depletion for each colony. The cap will only increase if you have multiple colonies of Ornate Tortles. There's also a bank in the Uncharted Isles, which can be done by right-clicking the boat if you need a bank for supplies. Before I get into my inventory setup, I just wanted to remind you that crystallize and protein traps do not work here, so don't bring any runes for crystallize or protein traps. So I brought 5 turtle traps. Baiting is not required here. You can obtain these free from Tortora's store, which is located in the southwest section of Waiko Marketplace. Essentially, you want to have more in your bank, in case you forget to pick up your traps and they end up disappearing. Arctic Bear pouches also help here, as it increases your hunter level by 7 invisible levels. Also, bring replenishment or adrenaline potions, as I'll explain later how it works. It's optional, but it's really helpful here. Scentless potions might help here, but they're rarely sold in the GE. For equipment setup, I'm wearing Enhanced Yaktui Stick, which increases hunter XP by 5%. Enhanced Excalibur, which has YS3 perk, also grants an additional 3% more XP. Tracker Aura is optional here, as you do succeed catches pretty often, but I'm going to use my tier 3 aura anyways. Also, if you have Silverhawk boots and you want to train agility here, it's quite cost efficient. This is because you aren't wearing anything in the shoe slot, and if you own the Nimble outfit, which is also from Treasure Hunter, it grants additional XP for Silverhawk boots. The strategy I'm using here is called the one-tick trap setup. Basically, I go in Legacy Combat mode, then I drink a replenishment or adrenaline potion. After that, I immediately set the trap. Normally it would take around 3 ticks to set a trap, but by using this technique, it only takes 1 tick. It cannot be done on EOC Combat mode, because what ends up happening is it consumes the potion. This doesn't work on an unsuccessful trap. The trap layout varies a lot here because Uncharted Isles is different for everyone. I previously mentioned this on my Crystallized Grandwall guide, but at Tortles, it uses a slightly different technique. Just set the traps close together, but don't set them adjacent to each other. You may probably have noticed that instead of standing on top of the trap to check a successful catch, this time I actually stand 1 square beside my trap. It's hard to explain exactly what I'm doing, but I'll try my best to. As you probably saw earlier, there's a short animation delay when checking a trap. You basically have to wait until the trap completely disappears off the ground, before you're allowed to set one back. The rule is, you cannot set a trap underneath another trap, and so the game engine actually assumed that trap you picked up was not actually picked up, until the animation of the trap disappearing was completely gone. And so therefore, if you place a trap on an empty square, it'll let you place it. This is why it's better to make sure the traps are not adjacent to each other, so you don't have to move around. So how does this method compare to Crystallized Grandwalls? Well, Crystallized Grandwalls are around 750k XP per hour, without any boosts. However, not everyone has access to the light within quests, especially skillers, and maybe some ironman. I also found it very inconvenient to have the time crystallize. The click intensiveness is just around the same. Also, I'm aware that at Grandwalls, you can actually fletch broad arrows during your downtime. However, at Tortles you cannot. Because this map is instanced, you're safe from people stealing your spot, unlike crystallized Gremwalls. But what about protein traps? Well, they're amazing at Gremwalls and they're pretty AFK. Problem is, there's a limited supply for them, and Ironman cannot obtain these traps. It depends on the location of where you use the protein traps, whether it's the Gremwall private grounds from Big Chinchampa or the resource dungeon, but I haven't tested either of them as of late. So overall, in 25 minutes, I caught 206 Tortles. Instead of tracking my XP, each Tortle I caught had a 100% drop rate on shiny shell chippings. The base XP of Tortles is 1585, which based on my tests would project to over 780k XP per hour without any modifiers. Now you may have caught them at a slower pace than I did, but this video was recorded after Monday's patch, which removed the delay of checking each Tortle trap, so it's definitely faster than before. These rates should all be consistent, as I've done multiple tests with this method. If you're not getting these XP rates, then it isn't really your fault, because the spawn rates of Ornate Tortle Colony can be a little spread out, but at minimum you can expect 700k XP per hour. As for chime rates, each shiny shell bowl requires 4 chippings and sells for 12 chimes each. At my given rate, it averages 1.4k chimes per hour. That's not including the time spent crafting the chippings into bowls. It's a pretty great method to farm chimes, especially because it offers a high amount of XP per hour. But then again, not a lot of people enjoy non-AFK methods. Not to mention that there's a very low chance of getting a Tenjitsu drop, and a random chance of chimes while catching 2. So is this method worth doing? The XP rates are on par with Crystallize if done properly, but it's also a very flexible method to train Hunter, especially if you're an Ironman or Skiller. Then again, it requires 96 Hunter, so it probably won't last long, unless you want to go for 120 or 200 mil. It's also limited as well because you can only catch 200 per day. Although it does cost supplies to get back to your island, you can now get 5 supplies for free daily, so you can pretty much get back there once a day for free. Other than that, I would say it's well worth doing as part of your daily ritual. So yeah, thanks for watching and hope it helps. If I missed anything, feel free to ask.